What's up, gang? So, self-confidence, and I might be looking down a little bit because I took some notes on this, right? Because I really wanted to make sure I got my idea down, right? Okay, so confidence versus self-esteem. Confidence versus self-esteem, right? So, confidence, they're kind of the same. Let me start by saying, like, they're kind of the same, but it's like there's subtle differences in it, right? But usually you might be able to get off with one without the other, but we're gonna get to all that. So confidence, self-confidence basically refers to your belief in yourself, right? Or your ability to do something, right? And that can change depending on situations, you might be better at, doing this than you are doing that, right? So that's kind of a confidence thing. Now, self-esteem refers to whether or not you appreciate and value yourself, right? So, someone with high self-esteem will probably be fairly optimistic in the sense that, even if something doesn't go their way, they'll probably, still believe and know that, hey, I can learn from this, or I can still do, whatever, or figure my way out through whatever. So, yeah, because they have that appreciation for their self, right? And usually that's affected by life experiences, right? So like, let's say if you were bullied, right, and you know that really affected how you saw yourself, that could in turn, lower your self-esteem, if that makes sense, because you might identify with what people have said about you, even though that's not really you, you know. And so those are the differences. If you have low self esteem, you might be someone with like a lot of negative thoughts, right? Or you might ignore you might ignore your strengths, excuse me. You might ignore like the positive sides to reality. Excuse me, my tongue is all fucking twisted up. But you might ignore the positive things about your life, right? If you have low self-esteem, or you might have like this negative inner voice, this critic that's always like, assuming the worst, right? Like you got to ignore that shit. And so if you have low self-confidence, it's probably because you already have low self-esteem and you don't really, understand that you should value yourself, excuse me, and be grateful. Yeah. So that can lead to you being afraid to try new things, which is what you have to do, in order to build your confidence in yourself. You have to step out there, right? You can't be afraid. And so, but well, let me go back. Let me go back a couple steps, because really I say that, but like I said before, you can get away with low self confidence if you have high self esteem, in a sense, because like let's say you get like a bad grade on a test or some shit, right? If you had low self esteem and low confidence, you'd probably be like, well, I'm a fucking, I'm stupid, right? So what else did I expect was gonna happen? Or maybe you didn't study, and that could have been a reason, but you still just blame it on you just sucking, right? And so if you have high self-esteem in that situation, even though you might have low confidence because let's say you didn't study, all right, that's good. Let's say you didn't study, or you didn't really pay attention to the lesson or whatever, so your confidence in the subject isn't really that high, but your self-esteem is high enough to where you can say, okay, I failed this, but next go round, I'm a ace it, or I'm gonna figure out what went wrong. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end you're still open minded and optimistic enough to know at the end of the day, if there is a will, there's a way. You know what I'm saying? Like you can figure it out for yourself, even though you might not logically know. Because I definitely feel like confidence is more of, on the logical side of like learning, side of like trying, like trial and error side of things, whereas self-esteem is definitely more so on the like emotional, like how you feel about yourself, how you feel about, you know, how do you think other people feel about you, you know what I'm saying, side of things. So yeah, moving on. Low confidence, people with low confidence can come off like shy. Now, that's not like to say that everyone that might be a little shy or nervous it has low confidence, because like me personally, in certain situations, like, or especially like in social settings. Now, I used to have really bad like social anxiety, you know, in like high school and shit like that. But now it's more on some like observant type of time, you feel me? Because I don't like exposing like my just personal, like, let's say, energy, you know, to anyone, and like giving that up, because some people are like leeches, you know what I'm saying, like some people are real life vampires, like they'll drain your ass dry and you'll have to go and spend X amount of time alone just to ground yourself again and get back in tune with yourself. It's just a whole lot. So me personally, I try to enter most situations from like an observant point of view, the observer point of view, you know, not really saying too much. But yeah, you could have trouble expressing yourself, right? Just, and I guess you could just sum that up to being honest. You could just sum that up to like being honest, because when you tell the truth, like, you never know, really, you really never know what's gonna happen. I feel like a lot of people, like, and don't get me wrong, like, it's not like I'm 100%, you feel me, like I'm literally as honest as like I can be. I'll put it that way. I'm as honest as I can be. And so, oh fuck, I lost my train of thought. Hang on, I gotta find that shit. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, like, you never know what's gonna happen, right? If you tell the truth, you don't know what to expect. And maybe that's like a fear of like control thing with some people. Maybe that could be like, you know, you personally like to feel like you have control, even though you don't, right? And that's another thing, I realizing you're not gonna have control over every situation. You really don't have control over shit. You're right, right? We're really just living life in a sense. And so like, there's, you know, the fear of not knowing what's gonna happen, which can lead people to lying, right? But then like the regret of lying, you know, your way through 80% of life will leave you all, you know, low self-esteem, doubt and shit. And so it's a cycle. And so, you know, being honest is key, you know, for boosting your confidence, because you'll realize like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, nobody's gonna care more about you than you can care about yourself. Like, people have their own like shit to worry about, you know, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, or they're not like, they don't acknowledge that enough. But yeah, if you have low self-esteem, right, you might give in to that negative self-talk. You know, you could have trouble again seeing the positives in situations, because there's always a silver lining, right? Even when fucking, even when you think the world's about to end, you know, the grass might just be greener on the other side, right? Like, life is a struggle. Life is beautiful, but like, death has to be, there has to be more to death, like, in a sense. You get what I'm saying? Like, it has to be, you know, there has to be some sense of transcendence and bliss that comes with death, because life is just like, life can be hell sometimes. Like, it honestly can. And you really have to have, like, you know, high self-esteem and like a strong mindset, you know, to, and every day's, well, finish my sentence, to persevere through this shit for the most part. But no, like, every day is not gonna be perfect. You know, like, nobody's perfect. I'm not fucking perfect. I have my days. I assume everyone does. But, you know, it's about, even on those days where you are kind of like down in the dumps, or whatever you want to call it, like, it's about being able to remind yourself, you know, and then having and reestablishing, you know, faith in yourself, because it's so easy to, you know, become distracted, especially in today's age. We got like social media, and then like TV. If you still watch TV, I really don't watch TV like that. The news is just like, I don't know. The news seems more like propaganda and like staged like acting than it seems like reality. You know, once you get to a certain point of just like looking around and observing shit and seeing it for what it really is. But that's a different video for another day. Yeah, getting back to it though, the distractions in today's age, they suck you away from that time with yourself that you really need to take in order to boost your self-esteem and confidence, and to understand more about yourself and the way you think and the way you see the world and your personal, strengths and weaknesses. Again, because that's such a key thing, because you might feel like you suck at life, but there's something you're good at, right? And if you feel like there's not, then learn new things. That's like a hack to raising your confidence right there. Like I said before, learn new skills, like try new things. Don't be afraid to I skate, I suck. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I still suck right now. I can barely ollie. Like, it's a work in progress, But like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna bust my ass like 100 times. I'm gonna fuck up my knees. I'm gonna fuck up my elbows. Like, I might crack my skull and bleed out. Nah, nah. I hope not. But seriously though, like, I don't know. You might get like a little bumped and bruised, but that's life, right? Like, you gotta keep going. Like, that's the only way you're gonna like build up, the strength to really do that shit. And then, that's on the confidence side of things. Again, like on the self-esteem side of things, you just gotta like accept. On the self-esteem side of things, raising that, like seriously raising that, is like the key to that is to like just accept all the bullshit that you distract yourself from, right? All the so-called negative things, because it's all it's experience, right? Like, positive and negative are really subjective in a sense, to how you see life. Like if I'm a Christian, right, my positive and negative, like my moral compass might be calculated, right, a little bit differently than, let's say, like a Jew, or even getting outside of religion. Let's say like a serial killer, right, or something like that. Like, your moral compass, like, it's not gonna be the same. And then even with psychopaths, like, serial killers and like sociopaths and shit like that, they still believe, a lot of times they still believe what they're doing is for the greater good, or they're somehow like cleansing and purging, humanity of like some shit. So it's like, it's all kind of subjective in a sense. And that's not to say that you should just say fuck all and just run around doing whatever you want to do, because again, I feel like naturally there's that sense of right or wrong, right? You should, if you don't have a reason to disrespect someone, right, you shouldn't just walk in the room and be a dick, right? And so that's kind of like, there's love on like a natural level of things. And there's the distractions that pull you away from yourself, and getting back to that and accepting and loving yourself and understanding that, maybe this didn't go the way I wanted it to, but maybe there was something I can learn from that. And you can't learn from it if you never accept it, but after you accept it, you have to learn from, those situations, most definitely, because we don't want this to keep happening, right? You don't want it to become a habit, right? Because habits turn into, character, which turns, it's reality at that point. And so, damn, I bumped my phone. Just reality at that point. But yeah, you definitely have to accept yourself. You definitely have to try new things. If you feel like you have social anxiety, if you feel like you have social anxiety, then, or you have, or people don't really like understand what you're saying when you talk to them, or where you're coming from, then maybe you just need to take your time when you're speaking, or maybe you just need to like feel like, maybe you just need to realize, my bad, maybe you just need to realize that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's nothing you can say unless you're saying some completely crazy shit, which is like, that might just be the context of the conversation, and that's how it's going anyway. But like, unless you're saying something that's completely left center from what you guys are talking about, there's probably no reason they should look at you funny. And then it's like, even if they do, fuck it. Like, they might have misunderstood what you said. Like, that they might have caught something, and it might not have been the point of what you were saying at all. And if that's the case, you just ask. You should ask to make sure. But my point is, like, never just feel defeated by situations. Like, never just feel defeated by situations, because we only have so much life, right? And you never know when that's gonna hit its expiration. And so you just have to give it your all. at the end of the day. You just have to give it your all. That's way easier said than done. Again, even for me, I used to have hella social anxiety. I still battle with that shit. Well, with feeling like, you know, certain like you get what I'm saying, with feeling like I have social anxiety, and still battle with, you know, reminding myself that, you know, just like it doesn't it's okay. Like that song Nothing Even Matters, I forget, I'm pretty sure it's Lauryn Hill. I'm pretty sure it's Lauryn Hill. If it's Erica Badu, I'm so sorry, Erica Badu. I'm pretty sure it's Lauryn Hill. Nothing matters. It doesn't. Like, be yourself, that matters the most. You know, that matters the most. And if you just be yourself and strive towards actualizing that, and being kind to, you know, everyone you come into contact with, you know, even if it's kindly letting them know that they're stepping over your boundaries, because boundaries are key. Boundaries are so key. Again, that'll actually, that goes with self-esteem. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't even think to mention that. Like, boundaries are key for boosting your self-esteem, because you won't set boundaries if you don't feel like, you know, you're worth a certain level of respect. But yeah, that's all for this video. Peace.